While the exciting news about Echo drawing fans' attention is Charlie Cox's return as Daredevil, that's not its only inspiring quality. Alaqua Cox is starring as Maya Lopez aka Echo, first introduced in Hawkeye in her acting debut, and she is not only the first Native American hero in the MCU, but also the first amputee and first deaf hero to headline her own series. This is utterly groundbreaking and a fantastic push forward for the franchise and IP fandom culture alike. Given her connection to Kingpin and the underground crime circles in New York City as well as her upbringing in the Cheyenne Nation, Maya could be joined by all sorts of different characters. Many fans are looking to it and Daredevil, Born Again as the place to bring back other former denizens of the Marvel Netflix sector like Jessica Jones or Luke Cage. However, in the case of completely new heroes and villains, these characters would make interesting and exciting additions to the MCU in Echo. Red Wolf, William Taltrees. Echo will not only focus on the repercussions of Maya betraying Kingpin, which culminated in her presumably shooting him, but also her Cheyenne heritage as she returns home, likely to escape his wrath. That gives the MCU the great opportunity to introduce other Native American heroes, and one possibility is Red Wolf. He is a fellow Cheyenne and acts similarly to Moon Knight, with his powers and heroics linked to a god, namely Owayodata. Red Wolf is part of the obscure sector of Western characters in Marvel Comics like Two Gun Kid and the Phantom Rider. Including him in Echo would be quite unexpected but would help showcase other Native American heroes. The Rose, Richard Fisk. Though Daredevil is about to be a major player in the MCU, it is still relatively unclear whether this Matt Murdock is the same one from Daredevil on Netflix. That would make sense for a lot of fans, they'd just need to explain why he hasn't been involved in anything else up until this point, and that's not really that difficult. Alternatively, that Daredevil from the Netflix series could just be defined as a variant, and if that's the case, the same could apply to Kingpin, which could open the door to characters like the Rose. He is actually Kingpin's son, Richard Fisk, who became interested in supplanting his father as the Kingpin. There's currently no word on if Ayelet Zerer is reprising as Vanessa Fisk, Richard's mother, from Daredevil, but if those versions are defined as variants, then it can be established that Kingpin and Vanessa had a son. If the Rose features, he could play the role of an antagonist or even an ally to Echo. Butch Ferris. Another possibility if Kingpin is given children is his other son, Byron Butch Ferris. Relatively, this is more of a long shot seeing as he was only introduced in 2019. Thankfully, whether it's him or Richard, they wouldn't have to be fully grown adults. In fact, seeing them as kids would add an interesting dynamic for Kingpin to deal with in Echo. Butch is also connected to a strange run for Daredevil, being the childhood best friend of Mike Murdock, Matt's fictional twin brother who eventually came to life. This isn't something that would be explored in Echo, certainly, and probably not the MCU at large, but Butch's presence could still be quite beneficial to understand more about Kingpin. Silvermane, Silvio Manfredi. Kingpin likely wouldn't be the only major antagonist in Echo if he is even fulfilling that role himself. In such an absence, more of the criminal underbelly could come to the surface and the magia could be incorporated fully into the MCU. Ranging from thugs like the Tracksuit Mafia to their head honcho, Count Nefaria, who could possibly appear in the Wonder Man Disney Plus series, the Magia have been adversaries for all sorts of street-level heroes. One of their most prominent members is Silvio Manfredi aka Silvermane, an old Magia Don most commonly depicted as a cyborg. The Magia did appear in the ABC series Agent Carter, but like other non-Disney Plus series, that hasn't been incorporated into the main continuity in any way. Silvermane would make for an unexpected antagonist in Echo, but if it's not there, he and the Magia will have to show up sometime soon. Blind spot: Samuel Chung. Many fans are hoping that Daredevil plays an important, but not overshadowing role in Echo, particularly to help her train and understand how to best use her abilities to help others. If that's the case, they could be joined by a fellow Daredevil protege, Samuel Chung aka Blindspot. Not only is he a skilled and dexterous martial artist, but he also created a special suit that can render him invisible. This would be a type of character who would be introduced or at least referenced in Echo before actually developing in Daredevil, Born Again. It could be something as simple as a subtle cameo or Easter egg, but it would allow for the addition of yet another street-level hero. White Tiger, Ava Ayala. Excitingly, with the likes of Echo, Hawkeye, Daredevil, and hopefully other former denizens of Marvel Television, street-level heroes are finally becoming a prominent feature in the MCU. However, one important hero still missing in that category is White Tiger. Several people have used that title, most notably Hector Ayala, but his niece would be a good fit for Echo. Alternatively, like those before her, she gains her super strength, agility, and fighting abilities from a special amulet passed down the generations in her family. Ava in particular would be an exciting addition, as she could add to the growing roster of teen heroes, and it wouldn't ever limit the inclusion of her predecessors too. Lady Bullseye, Maki Matsumoto. Part of the story in Echo could entail Kingpin hiring assassins or mercenaries to take out her and the rest of her family. There's certainly no shortage of characters who could take on that task, but one exciting possibility would be Lady Bullseye, one of Daredevil's best villains. Her male counterpart is already part of the established world, played by Wilson Bethel. She is part of the Hand, the evil sect of ninjas that is featured throughout Daredevil and Iron Fist, so her inclusion could signal that Kingpin has become a leading member in the organization, as he has done in the comics. Alternatively, she could just be hired as a standalone assassin and could serve as an interesting secondary antagonist. American Eagle, Jason Strongbow. Another Native American hero that Echo could introduce in some way is Jason Strongbow aka American Eagle. He has several decades of history under his belt, having debuted in 1981. He is part of the Navajo Nation and becomes an ally to Captain America, War Machine, and even Black Panther. There really isn't any interaction between him and Echo in the comics, but the MCU's done it before. Look at Monica Rambeau in WandaVision, giving a completely new perspective on the storied hero in an unrelated character's show. American Eagle would be a great option for such treatment and could help him rise out of the relative obscurity in which he finds himself.